Hello, everybody. I just want to check if everything's working all right, the audio and the video. But it looks like I'm live. So I've got a bunch of paintings here. I just wanted to show you. I've only got a couple that I've done actually recently, but I thought it'd be good to sort of show you for those of you who are new and haven't done any of my workshops before, just to see a bit of my style as well. And but I'd go through some chats as well. We've got Aggressive Koala, good to see you again, from Montenegro at 12:21. Geez, you are here really early. I'm going to try to do this one a bit faster. And the reason being as well is I don't want to also get bogged down too much in all the details in the background. Initially, I thought to myself, maybe I'll pick something simpler. And I thought, okay, well, here's a reference, and there's just a red car here. But when you look a bit closer, there's actually a lot in the back. So yeah, good news is you can pick and choose what you want to do. And yeah, in the amount of detail, we've got Islay. Good to see you, Islay. Second, yep, we've got Keith, and good to see you, Keith. Hadn't seen you for some time. Have you been from California? 3:30 p.m. So probably a better time for you. Robin, good to see you, Robin. And Yvonne, we've got Yvonne here. Can you all let me know if the audio is okay and the video? And yeah, if it's bright enough, that kind of thing. And yeah, mainly the audio though, because I always get a bit paranoid about that. Yeah, just let me know in the chats. Awesome. Christine says it's all good. You've got Sarita as well on Facebook. Ready when you are. This is going to be a good one. Cynthia, we've also got Cynthia from New Hampshire, US. Sally Hanson, some new faces here. I haven't seen some of you before, so yeah, let me know whereabouts you're from, and maybe something that you want to learn today. What got you interested in this particular reference or this particular workshop? For me, I just like the red that's just popping out from that car. So yeah, it's an interesting sort of scene. I might even change the red a bit and make it more kind of orangey. But let's see how we go. Uh, Thomas, good to see you, Thomas. I think I remember you from the event discussion. We've got Kate Parber, we've got Laura here as well. Yvette, good to see you, Yvette. And Yvette loves. I know you love your line and wash. Richard Harvey, good to see you, Richard. Awesome. Alrighty. So looks like everything's all right. Everyone's saying the audio is good. So I'll probably get cracking. I've got so many things on my desk. It's a bit of a. I'm just trying to fit everything on, but and still get the palette in so you can see what I'm actually doing. Now for this class, I just want to show you a few pens that I'm going to be using. So I've got a whole bunch of them here, but really you don't need all too many of them. If you just have a 0.5 liner, just a normal, just a normal black liner, essentially it has to be waterproof so that it doesn't run. Some people make the mistake of picking something that's not, that doesn't say waterproof, fade proof, basically waterproof from the side so that it doesn't run when you put the watercolors over the top. Really important. This is a Uniball eye. I mean, this is all you need. If you've got just one pen, you can get by. Okay, so I actually did this scene here twice, and the reason why I did it twice is because I was making a recording of it. The camera conked out halfway, and I ended up having to paint it again twice. But I'm glad I ended up with two. I wonder if you can guess which is the one I did first and the one I did second. The top or the bottom? Sometimes this happens every now and then, the camera conks out when I'm doing video recordings from my Patreon and my courses, and the second time I go through and do it, I'm kind of half into painting or even drawing because I put in all the effort in the first one. So anyway, here are some of my paintings, drawings, and stuff like that to just show you what my style is like. This is one that we did last time, and I quite like this one actually. It's not the usual subject that I do. Okay, and I think I only used one pen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I only used one pen throughout this whole thing. So nice, with line and wash, you get in all the little details and the structure of the scene, like the buildings, mainly the line work, the outlines of objects, and then shadows, everything like that, colors, we get in with the watercolors. So that's a nice one. This is a pure watercolor painting. As you can see, the difference between pure watercolors and line and wash is that watercolors, I don't know, it just looks more, yeah, obviously it's the same medium. The lines are not as harsh, okay, as your pen. And with the pen work as well, that's always going to show through, okay, unless you go very, very dark. Yeah, it's always going to show through. So yeah, that's just pure watercolors. More pure watercolors. Got the thing facing the wrong way. Just thought I'd show you, for those of you who are new. I'm Darren, by the way, Darren Yeo, and I run these workshops online. For those of you who haven't been here before, I'm an artist from Melbourne, Victoria, over in Australia. You can't tell by the accent. And basically, I run these workshops once a month. These are free, okay? But I do have paid courses as well, paid programs, which I'll talk about later. You can check them in the description. I've got a sale going on at the moment because it's the whole Black Friday thing, and thought I'd run something, give it a crack myself. Another one that I recorded a few months ago. Yeah, there's another car scene. We actually did another car scene. I can't find it. It might be in here. Did that one live as well. Another line and wash scene. Where is it? It might not actually be here. It's somewhere in my collection stack of paintings that I put away. These ones we did live in previous workshops as well. I just see if I can bring out that other one somewhere. All right, I think I've lost it. It's got to be somewhere in my stack of paintings, guys. Yeah, it's got to be somewhere in my stack of paintings. So Laura's guessing the bottom one is the second one. So I asked before, my camera conked out when I was painting these two scenes, and I went out when I was painting one of these scenes, and I had to repaint it again the second time. So actually, this was the first one, and this was the second version here up the top. Okay, so yeah, I mean, they look pretty similar. The difference is here I've used these Uniball pens, and the ink is just slightly darker. The lines look a bit more rigid as well. The second one here, I've used these things here. They're called pigment liners, and they basically have a sort of felt tip rather than a ballpoint tip like this. Okay, so I find if you're new to it, just use pigment liners. They tend to be a bit more forgiving than, say, yeah, these Uniball liners. But if you can do it right, I find that the buildings and everything just look a bit more sharper and that sort of thing. But I've also used some different colors here as well. So anyhow, let me pop these paintings away. I just thought I'd show you, for those of you who are new today, show you what I'm doing. Now, before we get started, I want to go ahead and grab a pencil. Now, you just need any sort of pencil. I'm using a mechanical pencil, okay, just something like this. And the mechanical pencil, for me anyway, just helps to outline some of the basic details. Okay, now we're not trying to draw everything in. We're just trying to draw in the basic shapes, outlines of this scene, so that when we go in pen, we're going to be a bit more confident as to where to put things. And I normally do this when I'm doing these shows, because I know for some of you, you're new to drawing, and it's going to be difficult for you to just draw straight onto the page. Lower the brightness so you can just see the pencil work. I might have to draw a little bit darker for you all as well. Okay, this line here I'm drawing at the bottom. Now, this is basically where the road starts, okay? So this is very, very important. You've got to get this one right, and because it's going to basically guide everything else. If you've got the road too far below, we're not going to be able to imply the road. And I'm actually planning to put some people in there as well, Thought it'd be interesting. Put some people in there, just improvise. And we're also going to be able to leave enough room for the buildings in the background. So if you put that line too high, it's not going to make sense. It's going to look like we've got a gigantic road there. So make sure you give it a bit of, I wouldn't say, it's not even a quarter of the way. Yeah, but yeah, maybe less than a quarter of the way from the bottom of the page. Just put a really basic line in there. Okay. Now I'm going to mark out the car. Okay. Give it a bit of space on the left and the right. Okay. There's a bit more space actually on the left than the right. Okay. So I'm marking out the front and the back of the car. Okay. And this side of the road, this little area here where the pavement starts and the footpath starts, sorry, down in the back, kind of will help you to guide where the front of the car goes. So that's the front of the car. You've got the bumper here. It goes up like this. Okay. If we really think about it, this whole bottom part of the car is like a long rectangle. Think of it as like as shapes, so like a really long kind of rectangle like that. Okay, comes out the back there. You've got a bit of this bumper out the back, and the top of the car, it's like just goes across like this. Okay, the back of the car is all. You notice that the front of the car is a bit longer than the back of the car, so keep that in mind. Okay, you've got some windows here. Now, don't worry about all the little details. Now, this is just a plan. Okay, just a little plan, and I always like telling students, like when you're drawing something, always look at the shapes. Don't worry about, is this a car? Does it look like a car? Look at the shapes inside the car. These windows, I mean, they're not really squarish, but they are squarish, but they have like, rounded off corners in some parts like that. Okay, you've got this back window there, the rear view window, whatever. And then you've got the back part of the car like that. Okay. Front part of the car. Oh, I've forgotten there's like the windscreen here. It sort of shows through a little bit there as well. Okay. Bit of the windscreen there. Didn't do that too well, but it doesn't matter. This car, I'm just detailing a bit more because it is quite it's a central point of the painting, isn't it? Or the drawing. So it's definitely requires a bit more attention. And we've got the bumper here at the bottom as well. Okay, just a little bit of that indication of the bumper. The big thing there is these wheels. These wheels just cut around. Okay, and look at the windscreen. See where the windscreen, if you draw a line below the windscreen, you'll notice that the wheel's not below the windscreen. It's kind of on the front part of the car here. So you don't want to put the wheel too far back. Okay, let's give it a bit of room. In fact, I've kind of gone a bit too far. Doesn't matter. Just replace it like here maybe. Okay, just a circle like that. Doesn't have to be much. Just a little circle there to indicate the wheel. Okay, and the other part of the car here, just underneath. Okay. And I'm not really aiming for complete accuracy here in this scene. I want to get this hopefully done a little bit faster. Okay. And I think it was Gilberto who commented on this reference photo when I posted up. He was saying this looks like Cuba. So I think you probably know more than me, Gilberto, if you're watching. I'm not sure where this is, but I got the reference photo from Pixabay. It's a free, royalty-free reference photo website. If anyone knows where this is, let me know. It's quite an interesting looking place, isn't it? Definitely got some character to it. And that sign up the top on that building, what was that sign? Isn't that the Freemason sign? I don't know. That just looks like it to me. Maybe interesting. Anyway, so let's go ahead and put in little details of the wheels like that. You can see the door here as well. This is just a squarish part for the door like that. Another squarish part for the door to the right. You don't have to get this all completely right. Like I said, this is just to plan out, give you a bit of a guide before you go in with the pen. You don't have to do this. You can go in straight with the pen if you want to. Okay, that's a car. I mean, that looks okay to me. Okay, I'll probably straighten out this bonnet. Looks a bit too, climbs up a bit too much. Okay, it's a very specific kind of car as well. And people who are into their cars, if you're into your cars and you're watching, you're probably going to tell the difference if there's any slight variation to the line work here. Okay, the bonnet's like a bit more straight. I can't seem to draw straight at the moment. There we go. There we go. It's a straight line. Okay, the rest of the little details I think we can kind of figure out as we go later on. Okay, as we go later on, I'll give you guys a little bit of time to catch up. I'm gonna have a look at the chats as well. We've got Christine's here as well saying hi. I think we've got a few people who know each other in the chats. If you know, if you have any friends that might be interested in this workshop as well, share it. Yeah, take a bit of time and share it on to your friend or on a group or something like that. Completely free, but it helps me out a great deal just to get the video out to more people. Okay, let me just check everything is running okay. Good. Yeah, I've got about 50 something people watching, which is good. I'm just kidding. Distracted for a moment. Hang on. I've accidentally closed down a window. This is not good. What am I doing? Just bear with me. Sorry, guys. I've closed down one of the event windows. Hopefully it is still running okay. I think it's I believe everything is still streaming okay, thankfully. Sometimes when I have all these windows opened up at the same time, I'm just doing this all on my own, I close something down and it stops. Alright, so let's go ahead, let's get back to it. Okay. Now, windows, doors, all that kind of stuff here. There's so much going on, but probably the main thing here are these like 3 windows / doors just behind the car. But firstly, what I want to do is separate these buildings because there's kind of like 3 floors, isn't there? So there's the top floor there, roughly around here. I'm going to split this up into 3, roughly 1, 2, 3. Okay, there's 3 floors of this building. Okay, and the reason why I'm doing that is because there are some of these windows here as well. All right, you got one there, and then you've got one over here. Now, notice how quick I'm doing these. I'm not trying to get in any serious detail. Just a bit of the dimensionality of the dimensions of these bits and pieces. So that's just a block. If you think about it, it's just like a rectangular block. Okay, and on top you've got some windows here, whatever. You've got another door window here, and a couple of these little balcony areas there. Okay, and this is going to be interesting because I don't like that there are no shadows really here, and so we can probably make some. Okay, let me just improvise some in here. We can make some shadows in here, yeah? So let's, I'm just guessing roughly where I want the shadows to come down. So maybe because if you look underneath the car, the shadow is directly underneath, maybe running to the left a little bit. So it kind of looks like that the light source is directly above and maybe, going to the left a little bit. So this is this is going to be good just to, I think anyway, put in some sharper details underneath the uh, the balcony with a bit of shadow and standing out against the light. So that's something I'm going to change. I'm going to make the light probably stronger than it is in the reference. You know, there's even people, can you see that? There's someone up there. I didn't see that before. There's someone up there. So we can even put in a person there, just sort of looking out. You know, you don't have to do this, but, and this may not be included later on, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. Maybe make them a bit bigger, actually, a tiny bit bigger. Okay, everything's got to be to scale, you know. And you know, another thing. Oh, let's not draw the people in first. Let's just get in a little indication of these. See here, there's a door, like a door here in the background of that car. I'm going to probably use that door to get in some sharpness behind it, darkness behind that door. There's even some kind of grill there. Look at all these shapes as just, look at all these doors and things as just shapes. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, here's a longer kind of rectangle going up, going down. Okay, like that. You know, here's another one here. Okay, and another sort of window door thing over there, and this sort of really dark one over to the left, you know, coming down like that. This is sort of, you know, it's really looks a bit scary. And there's a footpath behind. You know, you might have someone walking here. You've got to make the people as well. If you're putting in people, you've got to make them a bit taller than the car. Okay, so this is, I'm just putting in a person. Maybe that person's just walking into the front of the scene here. Okay, and I always start with the head. Make the head a kind of oval, a rectangular sort of shape like that, and then put the body in, and then the legs after. Okay, just checking on the chats. How are we all doing, everyone? Good. Pamela, good to see you, Pamela. Righto. And continue on. Now let's put in this top part of the balcony or whatever like that. And this one, there's another balcony here. You know, just a rectangle. Look at that, it's just a rectangle. And there's one in the background, like another window. Ooh, this one actually goes all the way across here. This larger sort of balcony like that. You might think this looks all very basic at the moment, and it is, because it's just a plan. Okay, just going to give you an indication. And when you go in later with the pen, you're not thinking, oh, where is that? How far is that from there? How far is that window from this other window? You know, you've got a bit of wiggle room there to play around. Okay, I think this is kind of on the right track. I thought maybe I like this idea of having a couple of, maybe they're a couple of friends or something, just, you know, walking together, one sort of behind. You know, you can even put someone walking behind the car like this, arm outstretched. You can put another person here as well, there. You know, put the head, always get the head sort of slanting in the direction that they're walking, like that. Slanting forward, just looks like they're walking that direction. I also think maybe a person standing in the doorway here could be interesting. Yeah, maybe just standing in the doorway, like very basic sort of figure like that. Okay, on the footpath. So we've got, I mean, that's quite a few figures. Okay, basic, but this is going to give us a really good plan so that when we go with the pen, we are not thinking too much about where everything is. So what kind of pen am I going to use? Oh, I've got a 0.5. Now, you don't need all these pens, like I mentioned before. All you need is a few. All you need is a 0.5. All you need is a 0.5 pen. But I do have these other ones that are great. These were gifted to me by a company called Etcher. I have a link to my shop in the video description somewhere. It's like just a link, Amazon links, Amazon to my Amazon shop basically, and I have all my materials in there. If you're interested in finding out what I actually use, you can go check it out. But really, for the purposes of this class, if you just have one pen, 0.5 liner, make sure it's waterproof, you're fine. Yeah, with that said, obviously you can see here I've got quite a few that I'm using. So I'm going to start out with maybe a thicker sort of pen, and a 0.6 liner, and I want to go straight into the car first. And we're gonna do the car, we're gonna do the people first. Why are we doing that? Well, because the car and the people are in the kind of foreground of the scene. So if we do that first, then everything in the background we kind of cut around the people and not go over the top of the lines. So that's one of the reasons why I do it first. Let's just move my palette out the way. It's getting a bit cramped in here. And got Heather here from Australia as well. Good to see Heather. Welcome. You can also you can wind the video back to the beginning and start from there if you're if you're late, or yeah, you just sort of draw faster, I guess, at the moment. And because I'm gonna go just with the pen. Some people just like to draw with the pen only. Alrighty, so let's have a look. Where should we start? Let's go on the car first. Okay, so I will just wing it. Let's just go in there. The bonnet of the car, I'm going to put in just pretty straight. Trying to draw a straight line like this. And then you've got the windscreen here. Okay. That. I really get a bit too pedantic sometimes with this type of stuff. But there we go. I think that's all right. Just that top of the bonnet's pretty straight, pretty flat. So I don't want to stuff that. There we go. This is the kind of the front light that sort of sticks out the front of the car. You can see it there. Just the kind of the bulb. This is a really cool car. I love these sort of vintage looking cars. And the you call it bumper here, chrome bumper, coming around the front of the car. Okay. Yeah, where is this? Is this Cuba, Havana or something? Maybe. Okay. I'm gonna go up and do this wheel. Okay, now if I was doing this on my own, I'd probably spend a bit more time doing it, but I really don't want this to be, too fiddly and spending all too much time, guys. And as long as you get the gist of what I'm doing, you can go on and do this yourself later, as well, using your own reference photos and things like that. The wheel I'd kind of gotten in a bit too big, but it doesn't matter, because actually this shadow underneath we'll probably be able to cover for that. Okay, circle there for the kind of wheel, the center part of that wheel. Okay, and a lot of this stuff, like in the details of the wheel, we can get in with the watercolor. It's mainly just these little details, these line works, bits of line and stuff on the actual car that will make a difference, because that's going to really show through afterwards. There's that window, okay, like that. There's a mirror or something sticking out there. There's all these little details. You can just, I can spend all day doing this, but you can see here there's like a darker spot inside this darker spot there. I'll probably go over it later again. This window here to the right hand side, it's just a square rectangle with the rounded off edge on the right hand side. Yeah, that's all it is, like that. And then you've got this bit running down like that, and you've got this, you can see the inside of the car, just like what do you call it, the rooftop inside, like that. What else do we have in here? You know, there's actually a darker line running through the back like that. These bits of darkness in the car are quite crucial because they just make it look more convincing. Oops, yeah, stuff that up a little bit. Doesn't matter. Just continue on. If you make a mistake, don't try to correct it and scratch the line and go over back and forth with the pen. Just draw over draw over again if you've made the mistake, and ignore the initial line. It won't be a big deal later on, but if you keep going back and forth and trying to change it up, you're gonna make it worse. Okay, there's a bit of a darkness on the back of that window and the edges of that window as well, like that. Here we are, getting there. Okay, so this back end of the car, I haven't drawn it as far back as I should, you know, in pencil. So I'm trying to like kind of gauge where I should put it a little bit further back. And like I said, you know, if it's not looking exactly like the reference, um, I won't stress too much about that because I'm trying to get this done a bit faster. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay, so there, you know, you've got the bumper. It's just like another rectangular sort of looking shape like that running off the back of the car. I think that's the exhaust pipe. Must be the exhaust pipe or something there. You know, you don't need to really draw in all the tiny little details. At the end of the day, when someone's looking at it, they're going to be able to figure out that it is a car, and those bits and pieces on the back, it's a bumper and stuff like that. As long as you just draw the shapes. Okay, another part here. This is the back tire. This little section where the this little section where the tire comes out as well has a really sharp edge to it. Underneath here, this part underneath the car. Yeah, that. Yeah. Okay. I think that kind of looks like it. Okay. I tend to be a little bit better at drawing shapes and sort of objects like this rather than animals and things. Okay, so the doors, there's a bit of structure to the doors. We can put that in. We can even use a thinner. This is where these thinner pens really become handy, because when you draw the line, what is this? Wrong pen. When you draw the line, it will be thinner. Because it's thinner, it's going to show up. It's going to show up to as thick as these other lines, and will kind of be pushed back a bit. Okay, so you can just draw these. You know, see the door, the frame of the door, that kind of thing there, and you know there's the handle of the door right there. Okay, that's about the only red lines that you can see. I mean, there's one here. There's a bit of the bodywork, little bits of the bodywork and things here. You know that see how I'm drawing these lines in kind of like slightly broken lines as well. They're very sharp lines, and there are very kind of softer edges, which we can do in watercolors. So when you're drawing, look at the kind of the sharper edges. Like, see this window, the edge of the window has this kind of outline around the side of it like that. Okay, that kind of thing you want to draw in with the pen. This actually, the front of this window is actually quite dark as well. Just getting a bit of darkness there. I mean, apart from that, really, we've got pretty much all the detail I think we need for the car. I'll continue working on the car later on, but the main focus is, yeah, just to make sure that you are getting in the main structure outline of that car. Okay, so yeah, I'd say I'm fairly happy with that. Let's go ahead and put in some of these people. And again, let's not fiddle around too much. Here's the figure here in the back of the car, just walking around. Okay, like that. Here's another person here. Put the head in first. Remember the body slanted sort of forwards like this. Maybe this person's holding like a bag or something, slanted forwards, so it looks like they're walking forwards. Front foot, front leg, back leg there. Bit of shadow there for afterwards. We'll get that in the watercolors. Maybe this person could be wearing some kind of, I don't know, could be wearing some kind of suit or whatever. I don't know. Actually, don't do what I just did there. There's another person. These two figures that are just walking together in the front. I'm going to outline them and make this one come forwards a little bit like this. Front leg and the back leg there. Okay, here's the front leg and the back leg, maybe something like that. Okay, good. Would be nice to have put some arms in there or something. That, you know, when the figures are getting a bit closer, you have to kind of detail them a little bit more. Like that. You know, this person here, I thought I'd put in just standing in the doorway. Yeah, no, I thought it would be good to create a contrast there, like that. Okay, next part we'll want to do is this footpath. Now, footpath, the edge of the footpath, it actually, funny enough, it sort of comes behind that car, doesn't it? Like the wheel of the car. So there we go. So just drawing that, one of the edge parts of the footpath. Can you see that? Just the edge of the footpath before it hits the road. And we're going to go all the way through and just get this in. Okay, and this part underneath the car doesn't matter all that much because it's all going to be a shadow anyway. But there. I've actually not left enough room at the bottom of the scene, but it doesn't matter. That's still going to make sense. If you're off by a little bit, you're okay. Okay, there we go. Then we got the footpath here. Now, it still makes sense that this person is standing on the footpath. However, I may have to lower some of these doors and things like that up in the back. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's still on the same part. Where is it? Where's the... Hey, here we go. Footpath there. Right. Footpath, that's like the edge of the footpath here. I'm going to get that in watercolors afterwards. Alrighty. And Young Sanchez, Christian saying the Grand Zero of Golden Age Cuba Part 3 on YouTube is where the original might have come from. Maybe. This is this reference photo though was found on Pixabay, so it is a royalty-free reference photo. Thankfully, I only use those these days because it's just too much trouble to email or contact photographers and ask to use a photograph, and then they want you to tag it and everything, and it makes sense, but it's just another bit of effort I have to put in, and if I can find a nice photo and it's royalty-free, I don't have to bother with all that. Okay, we've got quite a few people watching still, about 50-something people. How are we doing? Let me know in the chats how you're going. Hope you're keeping up okay. Now, here comes the fun stuff, or the not so fun stuff, depending on what you like to draw. But the windows and doors and all that, I'm gonna get in, and purposely as well, try not to detail all too much. Now, it's easier said than done. Okay, easier said than done. Okay, and I'll just put in the outlines of these things first. And we want to get in most of this with watercolors, yeah. But the small little, I don't know, how would you call that? The intricacies and, you know, bits and pieces of detail like that, it really pays to just get that pen work in, especially these balconies as well. And I don't want to spend too much time here, yeah. The balconies actually have a lot of detail, and I could, if I wanted to, just really go overboard there, but I'm not. Okay, putting that bit here. Okay, well, I mean, even drawing it like this is kind of challenging itself. Simplify these bits of the balcony. I mean, look at that. There's even a plant here. You don't even recognize these things until you get close to the reference photo and think, geez, this is pretty complex. But you have to selectively really pick and choose what you're drawing in there, because you can go on forever, and even in this live as well, I can just go on forever and ever, and to what end, really? When we want to imply kind of just an impression of what's going on in here, all that excess detail is not necessary. But yeah, with that said, if you want more detail in there, just spend more time. Spend more time drawing it. Okay. Now, one thing to remember is that you see on these balconies, there's like an edge on the left-hand side. It's like a three-dimensional edge. So really pay attention to the lines that form that edge of the left side of that balcony. Okay, you can kind of see a little bit of the bottom of it, tiny little lip there on the bottom, but that's about it. Okay, there's like a door here, window opening like that. This part here you can really see underneath this part of the balcony. Okay, like that, and we'll bring this up. Okay, let's just draw that all together. I'm also using a thinner pen for this part because it pushes it back a little bit further. Clive saying it looks like Havana, Cuba. I was there a few years ago. Yeah, I've never been there myself, but the red car, and don't they have a lot of these sort of colourful cars there? Clive, thinking, yeah, let's put in this. Yeah, you can change the color of the car if you want. Don't have to paint the same. Don't have to use the same color. I don't even know. I'm thinking whether I'm going to use red or not. Maybe we'll see. These people kind of, I don't know, off the balcony there. Up to you if you want to put them in or not. All these little holes and stuff in the balcony, like I don't know the design of it. I'm really not so keen on detailing too much of that stuff. Maybe a bit here and there, but okay. Let's get in the rest of this. Let's get this. Okay, so this door frame here behind the car. Now these are really going to be quite good in my opinion. I like how they overlaps with the car. The reason why is because it's going to create a sharp contrast between the car and the background. Okay, car in the background. Yes, so lots of old American cars which they keep running with Russian parts. Interesting. Okay, so look, I've made a probably an error here because this window should come up. See where the bonnet is, like there? Okay, I put the window a little bit, this door a little bit further behind. So what I can do is just like, just do this, yeah. No one's gonna notice, hopefully, because in the door you've got all these little downward, bits and pieces, patterns and stuff like that. Can't tell, right? And next one here, this other window, and tell you what, even if you misplace a window completely, no one's gonna know. Unless they've got that reference photo directly on them, it's no big deal. Even around that door, look at how much detail there is around that the frames, the window frames as well. I mean, this is gonna really, you can spend all day doing this if you wanted to. I'll put in maybe a little bit of it, but not too much. You know, there's even some of these little blocks like that run in between the windows too. Okay, and you know, you just get so tempted to add them all in. You get I'm getting very tempted to sort of add some of these in, but again, I could probably leave those for later, or just leave them out completely. Okay. But the main thing I wanted to show you all how to do is to get in some like textures and mixing of colors in the background. See how there's sort of this cooler teal color running down here? I like that, and I'll show you how to get these like nice textures and gradients with not too much effort, hopefully. Okay. The line work, you know, for some people, including myself, I can get a bit frustrated with this stuff, and also if I'm in the right mood and get really just obsessed and into the drawing. Windows, look at that! Look at how much detail there is. You can just go on forever, guys. Go on forever. And see how useful that initial drawing was, because when you have that initial drawing in, you don't have to figure out where everything is straight up. But you know, if I want to save time as well, I'll just go straight in with the pen. But the feedback from some of my previous classes was that it did stress people a little bit just going straight in with the pen, that they would prefer to have me use the pencil first. Okay, just to give you a bit more wiggle room. Okay, I mean, that doesn't matter. All there. And remember, we're gonna try to get in some shadows underneath as well. Okay, that's something I want to try. It may or may not work. Guys. But I'm always for trying something new, and I'm sure it'll work. Anyway. Okay. It's only paper. It's only paper and paint and pen. You know, if you stuff it up, it's no big deal. Just try again another time. Sometimes I regret just not changing the reference picture enough, or just adding my own little flair onto it. Something has to be said for, you know, making it your own, and you do that anyway when you draw and create your own scene like this, because it's gonna look different from the reference. Anyway, there we go. This other part of the balcony, a lot of stuff here in the background. Really, it's more once you look into it. This always tricks me every single time. I think, well, let's pick something simple, and then afterwards I look at it and realize kind of not as simple as I thought it was before I was looking at. Okay, this last door here. Oh, let's have a look at this. It's kind of large door frame. It just comes down like this. You know, and these spaces in between, unfortunately, here, like I've left a bit too much space in some areas. But, you know, again, we will get by, yeah? These kind of blocks, can you see them just running across? You know, I can just improvise here because I've actually left too much room in between the windows. Can you see just these, like the doors and stuff? I've left a bit too much room in between them, so I'm just gonna do this, okay, to make it look like it's part of the design of the building. And I don't think it's gonna make a big difference. Okay, what else do we have in here? Again, this door frame in here, another one here. And what I think I will do as well is pull out another pen. I've got this special pen that it's not really a special pen. It's just a pen that has a large sort of tip on the front. This is going to allow me to get in some of the dark parts. Okay, the real dark sort of areas. Now, if you don't have one of these pens, you can just color it in with your normal outliner, or wait till later when we're actually painting and I probably suggest that because this is why I have this larger pen in here, because it saves time. You know, if you're coloring this whole part in black, it's just going to take you a long time to do. Okay, so just a little bit of that. Just I thought, why not start off putting some of this stuff. Look at this window as well. There's so much. I mean, there's really so much going on in here. But I do like just outlining the windows a bit more. You know, underneath these, if you notice underneath some of the balconies and things like that as well, this helps. But let's do this all behind the car there. Okay, here, like that. Look at that. What else do we have to do? I mean, underneath here as well, the car itself. You know, why not just again go over the top and around the wheel, outline the wheel a bit more. And mind you, probably have to redo this again in watercolors afterwards just to really bring out those darker parts. But doing this kind of helps me to see where all the shadows are, the real dark shadows. Okay. Even underneath the car, there's like a pretty dark sort of shadow. If you see, it's all just sort of running underneath. I can actually do that just like that. See? Something like that, connecting up the car underneath. Okay. It's kind of a softer shadow as well. There's a lot going on there. I'll have to redo this in watercolors afterwards, but really it's just helps me to separate the car out from the rest of the scene and really figure out where that light source is coming from. Whoops. Doesn't matter. Okay, probably just move that shadow a little bit forwards like that, perhaps. Yeah. Doesn't matter. That's good. I actually had that shadow probably come forwards a little tiny bit too much there, but no worries. Come on, let's get in these windows. So these little parts of darkness and stuff in here. Again, if you don't have one of these pens, just use a thin sort of liner. You might have a thinner kind of liner, and color it in manually. And but yeah, the reason why I do this, like I said, is that it makes things a lot easier. You know, saves time, saves a lot of time, especially when you're painting as much as I am as well. You know, righto. So you know, yeah, same. Just repeat, go through, find some of these little darker spots here and there. Rick says, "Thank you, Darren. We have many balconies here in New Orleans." Yeah, I'm sure you would have. In we got lots of these high-rise buildings over here in Melbourne. Some of them are a bit older, but yeah, something like that. Mm. Yeah, I like those. There's some reference pictures I find online of those. There's kind of like old townhouses that you guys have over in the States, and I love to paint them, but I've done too many shows, with them, and I can't just be painting the same thing over and over again. It's always good as well to try something new. What is this? Who knows what this is? There's these two sort of square shapes here, and yeah, I don't know that sign. Like I was saying before, I'm pretty sure that's the Freemason sign logo. Okay. Then it's just. I wonder what building I'm painting now, or drawing. Can think of it. There's lodges that they have. No idea what they're doing there. Okay. See, I'm just keeping it pretty loose, and notice in the background as well. I just try not to overdo it. Now this makes it easier. See this funny pattern that's on this building? Yeah, easy. Yes, that's why you have one of these pens. There we are. It's slowly coming together, yeah? It's slowly coming together, and this is just the drawing. Yeah, this is only the drawing, so you don't we don't even have color or anything in it yet, but this is, you'll find that this really helps you, gives you a bit of confidence and faith that it's going to turn out, it's going to look like something, even if you stuff up the watercolors afterwards and it doesn't look like the scene, not the scene, if it doesn't have the same colors, or it doesn't have certain shadows and stuff like that, you've still got all this line work that you spend all this time drawing, and it's going to show through. So line and wash in a way can be very forgiving for beginners, because when you start out, especially, all you want is to end up with something that looks half decent. That's all you want. And I just painted for years, and I'd get one of those. I'd get a painting I was happy with every 10 paintings or something like that. I'd find one that I was happy with. So if you can have a little boost, and just end up with something that you're kind of proud with, and you're like, I actually did, that actually kind of looks like a car, that kind of looks like that scene, then it goes a really long way. And that's why, when you're beginning as well, it's good to start off with simple references. Says the person that's picking this mess to paint and draw in the background. But look, that is, I think, a pretty good drawing to go and get started with. Eraser. So let's erase this all. What time is it? How long have I been streaming for? Probably, I reckon, maybe 40 minutes or something. Oh, I've been streaming for an hour. Jeez. Time goes fast. All right. Rubbing out all these pencil marks. The pencil marks, like, just make it look a little messier. Okay. And we're getting there. Come on, David. With elbow grease. Some of you might have those kneadable erasers as well. Those are not bad. I find they just, unless they're new, they can just deposit bits of lead on the paper and make it just look all smudgy and bug me. So yeah, go with the old trustworthy eraser. Okay, I think that's it. Nice little gym workout. Great, so that's it. Not bad, yeah, for a little drawing. Only took an hour. And put these pens away. And how are we all going? Can you let me know in the chats? How's everything going? Are you keeping up? Do you have any questions? Just give me a yell. Just write in the chats if you have any questions, and I'll get to you. Sketching is bloody difficult. It is, yeah, it is. But you got to remember how often I don't do it as much these days. But I used to go out on the weekends and just sketch stuff. Bring where is it? I've got a sketchbook somewhere. I've got so many of them. It's on the other desk. I'm gonna reach over, but I've got so many of these sketchbooks, and I just bring a pen and just sketch stuff, and it becomes a lot easier. And you got to train yourself to recognize shapes. That's the big thing. Once you have the shapes, to figure out how to draw all the shapes, it starts to look like what you you know, like a balcony, like a person, like a car, that kind of thing. I've forgotten this. See, there's something here. See this something area there. Yeah, don't have to do that, but I thought why not? And kind of because I put this balcony a bit too high as well, put too low as well. Let's get in the top part of that. You know, all this stuff I get really bogged down in at times and just get too yeah, get really like yeah, gotta be careful. Too much while doing that. Okay. Yeah, let me know how you're going. I think people are okay. Looks like you're keeping up. Looks like you're keeping up all right. Now, while I wait for some questions, thought I mention this as well. I do have a sale going on at the moment because it's the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend kind of thing, and I've got a 70 course program that's on special at the moment. Get it for half price. Just check in the video description and you'll be able to find it. I've also got two other courses, programs available there. There's one on urban landscapes. Okay, so similar to this sort of theme that we're doing today. That's on special for half price, and as well as another one, the Watercolour Mentorship Program, which was a pre-recorded program that I ran a while back, and you can also get that for half price. So yeah, check out the links in the description. Also, if you want to support me, if you really like these workshops, and I mean, I wouldn't be able to do all this stuff if not for everyone's support, donations, and stuff like that as well on Patreon and buy me coffee, that kind of thing. So that's what really that's what got me started and helps supply buying all my supplies and things like that. So anyhow, let's get cracking. Let's get cracking on the next part of this scene, and I've got a few brushes here that we're going to play around with. Now, when you're painting watercolors, this is like the quintessential brush. You need a mop brush. I've got two of these smaller ones, but I've got a real big one. This is too big for this painting. It's tiny. You know, Jeannie's asking what size of the paper. This is 1/8 sheet, which is roughly A4 sized. Okay, we use those sort of sizes in straight A4, but yeah, 1/8 sheet. Maybe you've got a ruler. I can. Where's my ruler? Here we go. So look, it's so for Americans out there, 11 inches by 7.5. Australian, 28 centimeters by 19 centimeters. Okay, I think that's a good sort of size for most paintings, drawings, especially because I do these live and like. If I'm painting big, which I've done in the past, it's so much work. Yeah, it's just harder to keep track of everything. All right, so the buildings. Now, what we want to do first, I think, is just get a really light wash over the whole thing. A really light wash. So I will pick up. Let's have a look. I actually have a bit of this paint here, which is like a white wash color. Okay, it's titanium white. It's slightly opaque, and I'm going to go over some of these windows, balustrades, all these sort of things here. Okay, and there's even like some white sections which I'll probably leave out, like there. You know, just some little bits of white, but most of it's kind of this off-white color that's just going through this whole scene. Yeah, so a bit of titanium white mixed with a bit of tiny little bit of yellow. Okay, the proportion of paint here should be 90% paint, 90% paint. Sorry, 90% water. Jeez, 90% water, 10% paint. You want it to be very, very watery. This is just the initial wash, and you know I've got some yellows in here as well. Let's drop in some of that. Now to get the texture, this is very important. You have to paint wet into wet with some of this stuff. Now over here, this window or whatever, this door frame, you notice there's some blues and things running through it. So we'll get through that in a moment. There's even blues here in the back there. There's you know, you can just drop in paint like that. Okay, bit by bit. you know, I've kind of mixed a bit of gray into this wash here, like that. You just drop it in. Watercolors is all about layering, yeah. And if you just paint everything in one color and in one wash, it's gonna look really dull, and that's something that a lot of people get frustrated with when they're learning watercolors. They just think, you know, they come from a background where they've painted in oils or acrylics, and there's so much volume in the paint, so much strength in the paint. But in watercolors, you don't often have that. You know, and if you go in straight away really strong, it's going to overpower the scene. Okay. Um, yeah, the shadows are very soft, but I will, I think, make a sharper shadow later on. But we can get these soft shadows on top first. And I've used a bit of this brown color. It's a bit of brown ochre. You can use any kind of brown, just a dark brown. Drop that in. But notice how I've gone in firstly with the light colors. The light colors here, okay? I'm just dropping it through without much care. Well, just enough to cut around the car and some of the figures, because you don't want to get everything in this color, okay? But you know, this is the color that the building used to be probably once upon a time, right? Like until it got all dirty and you know, I think kind of looks cool like this anyway. It gives it a lot of character, but you know, that's we're kind of just trying to build it up from where it started once upon a time, and then add all the muck and things like that on top. You know, the brown and things. It's a lot of warm colors with speckles of cool colors in there. There's even like, look at that. There's like a bit of red or something in there as well, isn't it? Like a warmer color in there. Okay, in here you've got more brown. I've got darker brown, so we can just drop that in there. Um, you know, if it's not dark enough, I just mix in a bit of neutral tint and just drop that in like that. And I've already noticed that for example, the door frames and stuff are just not dark enough. Okay, doesn't matter. We will fix that up. Really, at the moment, like I want you all to focus on getting in the light, okay, and then directly after right after you get that light in, drop in some of the darker paint, and that's how you start creating texture. Okay, and we can reintroduce water afterwards, layer it and layer it again, and encourage blooms, and it will imitate the textures of the buildings. These little mottled bits, you know, are very difficult to paint otherwise. And in watercolors, it makes the whole process so much simpler if you do it this way, and it makes it a lot more fun, which is important in my opinion, because yeah, if you're not having fun painting, then well, you probably shouldn't be doing it. But you can always find ways to have fun, and it's a lot of the time it's a mental thing. It's just like thinking to yourself, well, you got to enjoy the process of it rather than thinking to yourself, oh, I've got to end up with this particular result or that particular result. You know, we're very outcome focused. I think as adults we become more outcome focused, whereas children, when they paint, you know, the kids never worry about, oh, you know, is it gonna turn out this way, or they get worried. I don't think they do as much as we do anyway. So you got to enjoy the process, enjoy the learning along the way, and that's my biggest advice. You know, because I used to get real stressed as well, just when things didn't turn out the way that that I wanted in the painting, especially when you spend so much time doing it, you know. Now these bits of blue and stuff, let's get some of this in. I've got that same mop brush. I have some. I'm actually going to use some turquoise, a bit of turquoise. Let's drop that in here. See, a little bit of turquoise, and see how the scene is kind of like what scene that's kind of wet still. And you see how it just kind of goes through and just bleeds. Look at that. That's how you create a little bit of texture. Okay, where else do we have a bit of that blue? I like it, so I might put some in. And why is it blue in the first place? Was it painted that way or something? Oh, maybe here. I don't want to do it though. Look at that. Look how it's just blending together. I'm using hot press paper as well, which is not recommended if you're a beginner because hot press paper is very unforgiving. It doesn't allow you to get this textured effect as well. But I've been, it was kind of funny because I ran out of my normal cold press paper, and I was thinking, damn, I've got to use this freaking hot press paper, and so I was kind of forced to use it. And interestingly, I actually now prefer to use it for line and wash because it just creates such sharp when it's done right, really beautiful gradations, and the colors look more vibrant on it. Okay, but it's harder to get colors to mix. Hard to get colors to mix. And Yvette saying love the turquoise, awesome. Yeah, I'm just checking on camera versus the scene. I haven't got any filters or anything on this as well, so this is pretty much how it appears in real life as I'm painting. This turquoise, it starts looking good. I like it. Let's leave it that way. Some of these part might have already dried, like up the top here. Spray bottle. I mean, saves the day. Bit of that spray on there, and I'm gonna go in and here, look, there's this, even on top of this balcony, see how there's all this grime and stuff. Let's just drop in some of that there, and notice how the water helps it to run and create that effect. Okay, and I'm gonna actually go over the top one more time afterwards anyway, but if we can get most of this effect in the first go, I think that's best. I'm still really tossing up whether we want to get in proper shadows under here. Because some soft shadows might work nicely. I'm just trying to experiment around and darken underneath and see if it's over. The last thing I want to do is go overboard, but I think a nice soft shadow afterwards, something like that would be good. Okay, door frame, probably put in a bit of yellow, a bit more warmer color here. And the big thing as well is just to remember to leave in some of the white of the paper as well. Keeps things interesting. Right? Let's put in some of this stuff up here as well, so that it just looks a bit more. Everything has to combine and join onto each other. And like I said, the greatest benefit of doing this one in line and wash is that you don't lose the detail of the buildings. See, you've got all the buildings in there, even though you've played around a bit with with all the colors and stuff. You can still see what's going on in the buildings because the line works there. With watercolors, if you're just using pure watercolors, this is very difficult to achieve. Okay, now probably one of the most tricky parts now is we've got to get in the car. Well, not the tricky parts, is one of the most important parts. I wouldn't say it's too tricky. Okay, bring this down into the ground. It's like a grayish color, isn't it? Like a grayish color here. Yeah, I'm actually gonna let's do the. Let's leave that for a bit. Let's leave this for a bit. I'm getting too much in my head. Okay, bit of color for the car. I'm gonna use a smaller brush, a smaller flat brush, so that I can do this properly. And like I had a look at my palette before, and I don't actually have a proper red color. Like I've got a bit of orange and a bit of, yeah, I can mix up a really vibrant red from a bit of this Pyrrole. I've got a bit of Pyrrole Scarlet, actually. That will work. Let's just test this out. Too dark. It used to be brighter, like yep. And one thing that's really cool is when you get good at using different values, you can actually paint everything in one color, including just red. Red and black mixed together. You can, yeah, so let's keep this really light. Now the proportion of paint I'm using here is it's mostly just water, okay? Mostly just water. But you see here, I'm going real dark in the corner here for the red, okay? This is how you get these darker values, because at the bottom of the card, there's going to be some of these little shadows, right? But on the top, it's going to be more, yeah, more like kind of brighter. So more water up the top, like that. I want to keep this looking real fresh, nice and fresh. I hope this part is dried. I'll just wing it. Yeah, this part should be dried. And this is the importance of cutting around the car as well before, and just making sure that you don't, you don't get in any of the background colors in there. Okay, so it's coming together, isn't it? Slowly, kind of orangey reds moving through in here. Okay, and like I said, these darker reds here at the base, you want to just use that and blend that in with the lighter reds on top, like that. I'm going to emphasize that more. Even here, there's some darker reds here. See, subtle little bits and pieces. Even underneath here, the windows, there's a little slightly darker bit of red. It's difficult to see this when you're starting out painting. You got to train yourself to kind of recognize these values. Okay, what else do we have here? We've got the bottom part of the car. Let's get this in. Let's just do it. Come on, let's get this over with. There, there. A bit more darker red at the base. And I'm saving, when you save these contrasts, the kind of most vibrant parts of your painting for the subject or the area of interest, it really pops out. Notice in the background, it's all pretty dull. It's all just browns and kind of like diluted down yellows, bit of this nice blue, this turquoise, and the turquoise forms a kind of contrast with the car as well. One thing I forgot to do is to get the background behind the car. I always forget to do this, but it's like a thing that you got to make sure you do as well, just behind the car there. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. Doesn't matter. No big deal. Just mop it up a bit like that. Maybe we'll create a little bit of texture in there as well. Yeah, that's kind of like lighter as well there. Okay, in the wheel, maybe a bit of like grey color in the wheel, just a little bit of grey like that. And we're not done yet. We're gonna go through, and I'm probably gonna get in a second wash over the top of this. We haven't gotten all the darks and stuff. The people, we need to put in some colors for the people. Now, it's up to you what you want to do. I think I'll go with maybe a bit of lavender color for this person, just to kind of cooler color there. The person to the right, something more neutral, perhaps just a brown or something like that. Okay, brownish red, something that doesn't attract too much attention. Okay, so this figure here as well. Thought I'll put in maybe let's put in a bit of blue, like more of that kind of turquoisey color in there as well for that one. Oh, this figure here, let's get in a bit of cerulean blue behind the car. Okay, another nice little contrast that you can do. Okay, something like that. I'm painting them all blue. This is getting too much. Have a bit of yellow and a bit of, just dull that down a touch like that. There. Okay, good. This window has actually got some darkness and stuff, so I'm just gonna paint that in quickly. Yeah. Good. All right, now let's go through to the base of the scene. Base of the scene, we're going to start out light, really light. and just grey like this. Okay, and you can mix grey from your three primaries: red, green, blue. Mix them together. Red, blue, yellow. Like this, and darken as you go down further. So just add some more paint. That. Another one. Again, this is quite tricky to do with smooth hot press watercolor paper. If you've got, I always recommend beginners to use cold press paper. Okay, I'm trying to just darken a little bit more down the base as well, and this is going to create the effect of kind of like the light here. Okay, may have overdone it a bit, but it's going okay. Shift that around, shift this around a little bit like this. It's not all perfect gradient. There's okay, good. I think that's decent. This one you just have to get it in one go. These washes. Okay. Good. I reckon I'm going to give this a little dry, the hair dryer. We'll get back to it in a sec. All right. Microphone back on. Microphone back on. Sarita's asking, how heavy is your paper? Is it warping a bit? Yeah, it does warp, but when you tape it down on the edges, it just solves that problem completely, Sarita. So yeah, definitely do that if you have any issues. Okay, now this is going to be the fun bit. I really like this bit. We're just putting on all the dark bits and pieces, the little details, and a lot of this can just bring your scene just to the next level here. Now I'm going to mix up a bit of neutral tint, really just a dark grey color, and there's a few bits that I want to just redo. Like here inside the car there is like some darker details, so I want to just get in some of that stuff. Inside the window, this is tricky. It's because I'm painting quite small, and that there's this part here. Not dark enough. I'll have to do it again. It's no big deal. Just go in and get in a bit of that detail in the car. It has to be dark. It's going to form a nice contrast with the red and make everything, oops, that wasn't thin enough, doesn't matter. This, see this little handle, door handle, like that. You know, even underneath the car, notice how it is pretty dark. Yeah. So what I'm doing here is really just putting in some of the darker parts of the scene. Yeah. More neutral tint and some brown as well to just change it up a bit, like that. Kind of just go in between bits and pieces, but the wheels, you know, look just like that. And getting a sort of sharpness around the wheel, like that, where it kind of connects onto the car. There. Super important. And you notice how I'm just like spending a lot of time fussing around with it, but you know, I do want to make sure that this area looks really contrasted, and this is where your drawing skills will really help, because at the end of the day, when you're doing these little, tiny little details like this, you're basically drawing, but with the brush. Okay. Don't overdo it though. Just kind of get to the point where it looks all right for you. Looks all right, like the whole portrayal of this, the darker bits inside the car, that kind of thing, and then stop once it starts looking all right. Okay. Underneath the car as well, you do have some darker bits and all this kind of jazz in here, which helps to just see. I'm just putting in a bit of that darker color. These darker areas of the windows as well, it's just now starting to not look as dark as I wanted it, so it can go over the top. But remember, every time you do this, you run the risk of like going into the red. Oh, this part, the windscreen as well, does have a lot of darks there. Okay, but there's a bit of reflection light reflecting off the front, so that's all good. Okay, touch and go. You remember that a lot of this, see a lot of the window details and stuff, just leave that there. Like with the pen work is more than sufficient to cover those little details, but parts that you miss out, or that perhaps you want to imply, emphasize, you know, this does help. Okay, there's this little bit of design here in the bodywork. I don't think I want to muck around with that too much, actually. I've already gone into it a touch here. I'll use a bit of gouache later to maybe imply that. Imply that better afterwards. Alright, darkness in the background. I'm going to use purple. Let's get in a bit of testing. Oops. Just checking. Some people are saying they can't hear. How's this, Margaret? Susan's asking, what did you use to make the paint dark? So I've used a color called neutral tint, and there's also purples that you can use. Neutral tint's like a really dark color. It's just a combination of your three primaries. So you've got red, yellow, blue, mix them together, and you'll be able to get a really dark sort of color for that. Okay. I can even use some blues and stuff in here. Okay, it doesn't matter. I just want to get in. I just want to get in a darker sort of color running through these windows and stuff here in the background. And one thing to keep in mind as well, I keep forgetting to do this, but to leave a bit of the background color in there, a little bit of this, see there's sort of these lighter browns in there, leave some of that lighter brown in there so that it's not just this darkness running, because if you look into these door frames and stuff, there's actually some, see, there's little bits of lighter sections. So you have to remember, you know, light and darks, but also, and then more texture. See, I'm just dropping in some more colors in there as well. The turquoise, let's go ahead and get some more turquoise. Maybe running through in here as well. You know, you can spray things down again if it's like, you know, another little trick, just spray onto the page again. And this will encourage things to mix further. Just sort of revive that wash before that had already dried. Okay. Sorry. There's a few little bits and pieces I just want to do up the top. Like I do think there's additional textures that I want to apply. Like, you know, for example, in here, there, you know, some of this stuff on the balcony there, I want to just get in. Okay. Like that. Maybe a bit of like rusty orangey sort of color up here, running down this thing. More brown. It's basically your next, another wash of texture and detail over the top. Okay, and remember, we want to keep this section kind of wet so that it blends and mixes around. Sometimes I even move the paper around like this, see, and it will bring some of this stuff downwards like that as well. Create a bit of an interesting flowy effect. All right, continue on. Oh, Keith, you finished. That is really quick. More darkness here. You know, this is kind of where also I'm going to put in this shadow, these shadow shapes. See here, these kind of darker, slightly darker areas underneath the buildings like this. You know, you can have a bit underneath this one too, just like that. Look, I don't know what color this is. I think it's green actually. I shouldn't be using that. More of this purpley grey color I think would look nicer, like that. You know, there's another bit of something here. So, you know, the shadow is, like I said, it's not really so apparent in the reference photo, but I just want to add in more of an indication of it if possible. Okay, here, you know, you're just playing around and mixing these colors together, but we're at the same time looking at what areas are light, what areas are dark in this painting. Yeah, underneath here, see this sort of sharper shadow that I'm putting in like that, but at the same time I'm kind of softening it in parts and areas. You can even put in some of that turquoise, just drop in a bit of that turquoise and stuff halfway through it like that. A bit of red as well, why not? Okay. When this dries, you'll see what I mean. It creates these interesting mottled effects and textures. So there's a bit of a shadow there on that right building. I like that. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get it too obvious on this left-hand side. You really can do this for as long as you'd like. Okay, some of these windows and doors and stuff. See how there's, I mean, it's just pretty dark up there. Let's go ahead and put in some more darkness up the top. Some more darkness up the top and things here. Look at that, just on top of that balcony. You've got people and whatever hanging around up there and doing something. I'm running out of neutral tint, guys, but you see what I'm doing. I'm just building up the details, and behind the wash I'm leaving in some details of the previous wash so that you've got some. It's not just one color, it's not just one boring color running through the whole thing. That's the last thing you want to do. Here as well, on the edge of this, what do you call it, this edge of this road or whatever, there's a bit of darkness here on the curb, like that. Just quickly do it. Shadow of this car. Let's get this shadow in a bit more, with a bit more strength to it. Yeah, like this. Look at that. Much better. And the strength of this shadow will bring out the car as well. Okay. I want to soften this down here, the edge, soften the edge down a little bit, add a little bit of water actually, like this. Oh, damn. So be so careful. This. It's tricky, this shadow. Okay. The figures and the legs of the figures I'm gonna just put in with a real kind of darker color like this. Okay, like that. Just a couple of strokes should do it. Here as well. Person kind of walking across. There's another person here, just standing on the footpath. Okay, and they have also a shadow underneath them, like this. Let's try to do this one like that, maybe. Like that. No, that was not the best, but it's okay. Bit of red, probably for the faces of the figures, just to indicate where they are. Put in a bit of hair, a bit of brown or something like that for the hair, whatever color you want to use. Bit of something. There we are. Simple. And you know, like I was saying before, you know, you can actually make people look like they're wearing suits and stuff if you just do the darkness there around the edges of that. And like maybe this person's carrying a suitcase like that. Kind of like how these two turned out, so I'm probably not gonna do anything with that. How are we all doing? Let me know in the chats how you're going. We're almost done with this one. By repeating this process of just dropping in more colors, re-wetting it, dropping in more colors, re-wetting it, you can really get it to the desired stage of how, you know, just how much, what you may call it, details and textures that you want in here. And, you know, for example, I might want a bit more yellow. You know, I thought we'd lost out on some of that yellow. So why not just put in a bit more yellow ochre in here just to carry some of it back. Balance out a bit of this blue as well. There's all this blue in here, and I don't know, it's just too much, I think. So a tiny bit of that yellow. Here, this sharp edge, I just want to get rid of that sharp edge a bit there as well. Lift off colors if you think that it's doing more harm than good. Yeah, we're almost done. I just want to get in another layer quickly after I dry this. Another quick layer, but let's give it a dry first. Just as a quick note as well, you can use a bit of credit card or a little knife or something like that, and you can scratch off little bits of details on the buildings as well. See, just while the paint is drying. So this is good if you want to imply things like this, like a doorway, the frame of the door or stuff like that. But I'll also use some gouache in a moment. Okay, just checking the chats. Yvette's just coming along nicely. Fantastic. How are we all doing? Sarita says, doing well. I usually don't re-wet for layers. I gave it a shot today and it got muddy. Any workaround with this issue? So you can also... the stream has ended. Apparently, that shouldn't happen. How are we going on YouTube? Can you guys hear me okay? For some reason, the stream on Facebook has just stopped. But I'll probably I'll just quickly add it again on YouTube. Yep. Okay, still going on YouTube. Yeah, I don't know why, but I think it just like maybe Facebook has like a limit of how long I can stream or something like that, because it always seems to end at the exact same point, like 1 minute, 1 hour 45. Maybe I can just go back and start again just to make sure that the people on Facebook are able to continue. Yeah. Just bear with me. This last section is going to be great fun, because we need to get on just these finishing touches. It's kind of like my favorite part of this. Just try one more time to get this going. Okay. Okay, I think the stream is going on. Yep, just bear with me, guys, while I get this sorted. Okay. Dashboard. Okay, I think we are going okay. All right. Well, I'm still streaming on YouTube. On Facebook, it's going. There's still a few people, I think, trying to figure out where the stream is. That's right. You know what? I think I'll just continue anyhow, and we'll see how we go. Might just post in the chat. Right. I think we'll just continue. Okay, there's people have found the stream again. A few people have found the stream again, but it doesn't alert everyone when it starts and ends, when a new one starts and ends. So yeah, I'm just gonna have to deal. I'm just gonna have to deal with it. And if there's a few people watching on there, that's all good. I just feel a bit bad because I think some of them are lost. Okay. Let's get cracking and finish this one off. So, like I was saying, the really dark areas, dark components are important, and the little bit of the light as well, adding on bits and pieces of the light. So, what I'm going to do is just squeeze out a bit of this paint here. This is a bit of gouache, white gouache. Okay, a bit of white gouache, and we're going to go through and we're going to bring out little bits and pieces of details. You know, but the darker parts, for example, here, and you know, you can just pick up a bit of darker neutral tint or mix some up yourself. Okay. Again, this is a nice way just to bring back some of these smaller details. Okay. I've forgotten to say, for instance, here it's actually quite dark, this part of the window, and up the top there as well. This part, this sort of circular part there, I'm going to just darken down a bit more. Okay. Run through here. little details of the window in there. You also got the option to just sort of bring in a bit of these textures of the building, not textures, but like the line work on the buildings. Like, see just these little lines and things in the background, here and there. Okay. A bit of this white gouache, we're gonna bring out some final finishing touches, some final highlights. It looks like some of you have managed to find the stream back on Facebook. I hope everything is okay. You can hear and everything like that. For some reason, it always just ends at 1 hour 45. I don't know why. It happens every time. So, yeah, maybe I'll just post the YouTube link in the next show and just be done with that. Yeah, a bit of white gouache with water, a bit of water just to activate it, and maybe a tiny bit of yellow as well in there. Okay, and I'm picking out some areas that I might be able to just just add in some highlights and stuff. So like where you get on the top of these buildings, like there, or the windows, maybe a little bit of white. The frames, these like frames of the buildings as well, you notice they might have a little bit of light or something catching onto them, but it does help to sort of bring them out this way. And when you add it on, just make sure you do it in bits of jagged lines and stuff. Don't make it too obvious. Okay, so I'm just here and there putting in some little details. You know, even here you'll notice there's some tiny little bits and pieces there. On the car, you might even want to put in a touch of light on the back of the car. This. And the shoulders of these figures, their heads and the shoulders, like that. This person here in the doorway, this is going to help just sort of imply that there is someone standing there. You know, this just brings a bit of sparkle and interest back into these darker sections. Just a touch here and there. You don't need too much going on, just a little bit. Like sometimes on the top of these balconies, you know, you get like a bit of light just, you know, off the top like that. Okay. Oh, you found it, Sarita. Yeah, I don't know what happened before. It just does that sometimes, but glad you could rejoin again. I think a few people managed to find the stream again. Keith is saying, have to buy some gouache tomorrow. Yeah, or you can use some titanium white, Keith. Just some bit of titanium white watercolor paint. That does the trick pretty well if you dilute it down a touch. And aggressive koalas have got a mess of charcoal and red with tints, with tints of turquoise. It's difficult, isn't it? It's hit and miss at times, but you have to kind of make sure that the paper isn't too wet. If you put too much water over the top of the paper and there's pools of water, when you add paint to it, it just spreads all together. Whereas if the paint is just, if the page is sort of just damp, you're going to have a much easier time getting that through. You know, and the great thing about this stuff as well is that you can even create this sort of sense of like this mistiness in here. Not mist, but you know what I mean? Like a bit of milkiness, this color here. smoke or something in some sections of it, and it disturbs, just breaks up the darks in here as well. So kind of just into the edges of that a little bit. You know, any area that I think could do with a bit of something, why not just add that in and see where it goes. But yeah, maybe I like this sharp area there. That's going well. There's a person here. These couple of people that I've not really bothered to detail much, but it's no big deal. And that there, a bit on top there. Sometimes you can even do things like put in a like a block or something like that. See, like a brick of the building. See, just over the top in areas to change it up a bit. You know, even the top here, maybe you could put a bit of something there. Like there's lots of these little details running through the scene, so you just have to add a bit of something over the top of it. But the wash I'm using now is actually slightly diluted, so that it's still opaque, it still goes over the top, but it's not kind of overwhelming everything. Okay. And as you can see, things are starting to really come together. The combination of all these techniques that we've been using creates the illusion of texture and detail in here, and quite like it actually. Look, just adding little dots and things here and there. What I might do is just darken a little bit around the edge of that car as well, like here near this door, to bring out the car a bit more. Okay, like that. Just a last minute thing, but maybe the front of this one as well, this building here. Like that. Can even just see it like inside. There's these little details of the door, the inside of the door, and that. So you can just get a bit of that in as well if you want. Not really required, but a bit of cooler color in the gouache for some change in. Just a bit of change. That. Yeah, I love combining gouache with watercolors, with transparent watercolors, that is. Okay, so I'm going to give this a really quick dry, and then we'll take the tape off. How are we all going on YouTube and Facebook? I hope you guys are all going okay, and it's making sense. Go across. Just want to check out what's happening on YouTube. Yeah. Okay, just dry this off quickly. Okay, so the final reveal. Let's take off the tape on the edges and see what we have left. And it's been nearly two hours. It has been 2 hours actually. So there we have it. Jeez, I did this. I went a bit overboard with the tape. Okay, there we go. That's his scene. It did take a little bit longer than I thought it would because I was messing around with the textures and stuff like that. But nice little loose scene based on the reference photo. And let me know how you're all doing. If you have any questions before I end today as well, I just want to talk a bit about my course. I talk about this pretty much every session that I run. Okay, so I'm just going to flip over to the other one, to the other scene. Just give me a second. Okay. Alrighty. So you should be able to hear me here. So this is the program that I was talking about before, and some of my students of this program are already enrolled in this one. But for those of you who are new watching along today, who haven't been along to my classes before, I also do a whole bunch of paid programs. So this is the main one that I run. And, you know, a lot of the time when you're starting out painting, you've always, for me anyway, I found that I was frustrated. Like I mentioned, I'd be drawing something, painting something, and I'd be spending 2 hours, and I'd know what I'd want to get out of it by the end. But when I put the pen to paper or the brush to paper, it just didn't end up looking like what I wanted to portray in my mind, and it was so frustrating. And the process of painting as well is something that's really talked about. I think people overly simplify it, but there is a really distinct planning stage, and you saw some of that today when I was drawing and sort of going through the card, deciding what elements to include or not. So yeah, if you're tired of seeing the same results and you question sometimes whether you should even be painting or not, I think this is a really good program that you can enroll in. And I've been running it for nearly 2 years now, and I get really good feedback from my students. So a lot of the time you end up watching tutorials on YouTube, or you end up watching workshops, but they often are sped up, or they don't go through the little details. Like today I was mentioning things like how much paint I'm using, what's the proportion of paint I'm mixing together, why I'm doing certain things as well, why I'm mixing more paint in here, why I'm using this particular color. So that's something that I go through quite a lot so that you understand what I'm doing on the spot, rather than just assuming knowledge. And I go through things like layering, depth, perspective as well, things that are kind of, again, assumed knowledge when you're painting. So these elements are going to help you to really drastically improve your paintings. And creativity is something I think a lot of people leave behind, and it's really good to see a lot of you today that ended up coming along and finishing, going through the entire show, coming up with a painting at the end and following through the process. It's difficult at times to find a bit of time to be creative, and I think it's a really important thing to do. So this is couple of my paintings when I started, which was back in 2013 or 14. I mean, I was painting stick figures, and something recently as in probably a year ago, I painted that one. And So the Watercolour Essentials program, which is my main program that I have running, will help you to develop these things. So you'll feel a lot more confident when you're painting. That's something that comes with experience, but also comes with knowing a process. Okay, so today, for example, we painted the light areas before the dark areas. That's something that if you know intrinsically, just remember to do that, it's going to improve your paintings a great deal. Perspective and drawing, I go through a lot of that in all my courses. Pretty much from start to finish. The Watercolour Essentials program includes 70 of my most popular courses, and I've kind of curated them in there as well to have all the best components and the best most popular courses that I have. So timing, touched a bit on that today. When using wet and wet, especially while the paper is wet, you have to execute certain techniques when the paper is wet, not when it's dry. Otherwise you can get a completely different result. Brush techniques and water control. Covered a little bit on brush techniques today, probably not a whole lot, but water control is something that's really important. How much water to mix into your paint and onto your brush as well to get certain effects, because if you put too much water on your brush, you can lose control. You can make a mark on the paper that just looks too obvious. Okay, layering and values. Tone/values. Tone is pretty much the most important part, I think, of painting, because it's basically referring to how light and dark certain areas are. Like in the doorways we painted today, you notice like a lot of the doorways were pretty dark. If you don't make them dark, it's not going to make sense. The scene's not going to make sense. It's going to look basically the car's just not going to pop out as much if you don't do that. So magic component, I talk about that a lot in this program. Layering as well. So today I've used basically two and a bit layers, a little bit more for the wash at the end. So that's something I cover a lot because I try to simplify things down. I'm not someone that can sit and paint for hours and hours and hours and come back to it the next day and go back to the same painting again. I think it's really important to be able to simplify that process to just a couple of layers if possible. Colors also cover that a lot, choosing colors, and I do use very few colors and simplify the process. You'll be surprised how few colors that you need. And vision. So vision is something I don't think many people cover in their programs. So in their courses, it's basically like having an idea of what you want to achieve in your painting. Like, do you want the car to be the focus? Today I added some people in there. I thought the scene looked a bit lonely, looked a bit kind of I don't know. I just needed a bit of movement and something else going on there. So I thought, why not add in a few people here on the side and give it a bit of life, make it my own. So changing it around, making it your own, and in the process developing your own style. So what do you get included in the program? So this is, like I said, 70 courses that you have in there. It's a huge amount of material. I think there's nearly 1,000 videos in there. Get instant unlimited access as soon as you sign up. So it's all step-by-step narrated in real time. You learn at your own pace as well, so you can pause, rewind if you want. And here are some of the scenes that are included in my program. So it's just here on the side. Lots of these are only just a few of the paintings I have in there. I didn't want to spend too much time just flicking through all these, but you have seen some of my work already, like at the start of the workshop, but this is some other stuff as well, and all these scenes are part of what's included. This is a popular one that I did on drawing and painting house portraits. I've got different themes as well. I've got like atmospheric watercolors theme, more pen and wash, Australian sort of theme, more car scenes as well, famous landmarks, and painting painting with vibrancy as well. Okay, so yeah, these are some of what you can expect inside. I do even have for portraiture a portraiture class, a bunch of portraiture classes in there as well. Okay, so if you're interested in portraiture, pretty much has everything. Covers almost every subject that you could think of in there. Okay. If you haven't heard of me before, these are some of my student ratings, and I teach on a variety of platforms. This program, this 70 course program, is on my personal platform. So there are a bunch of bonuses you get with that. It also makes it a lot more valuable in terms of cost that you pay, because it's you get just a lot more in there. These platforms just sell it for separately individual courses, and yeah, they range from up to I think $20 to $50. So yeah, you get everything all in one. I think it's fantastic value, especially if you're really looking forwards to trying different kinds of subjects, some things that you haven't tried before, and it's a well-rounded package, not just one theme in there. It's got everything. That's one of the scenes included. Nice little line and wash scene of some boats. I think this is somewhere in the UK, and I get consistently high ratings on all of these platforms. So a bunch of bonuses if you do sign up today. It is the whole Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend, and so got a special price there at the end. But basically, the first bonus is that you get 2 months of tailored feedback from myself. So this allows you to save time. Now, when you paint something, it's very hard, especially if you're learning, to know what you have done well, what you need to improve in. Okay, so this allows you to get a bit of feedback from myself and help you along the way, basically allow you to advance faster. Okay, so you get a couple of months of that. You can email me, you can contact me on Messenger and Facebook as well. We do have a private group as well that you can access, post questions, get priority support. And as an addition, I've also included all these ads-free access to my previous live workshops. So all of these workshops I've run before, I think I've done about 60 to 70 of them so far. So in them, there's probably near to 100 different scenes that we've covered in each workshop. Okay, so a lot of stuff in there, a lot of different projects. And for today, if you register, you get a special price of $247, and that's again for 70 full courses. Okay, and some of these courses in this program, they have more than 50 hours of content in there. So there's something in there for everyone, and you'll be surprised when you try something different as well, and you know the process of how to paint it. You can really get into it. So I have the link in the description. You can check it out in the description if you're in the chat at the moment. Also, just let me know if you're interested. I can copy paste you the link. Pamela is one of my students, and she's here in the chats as well. Says I've learned a lot from your lessons and have now finished all the lessons. Thank you, worth the price. And I think Pamela, you've improved significantly since the start, and you've just put so much work into your watercolors. And the great thing now is that even though you finish the lessons, you know the process of how to paint everything, and using that you can bring in your own style and find your own references, and rather than just watching courses all the time. So anyhow, that is a special for today. You can check it out in the description, and I do have a bunch of other programs in there as well. So I have one that is a urban landscapes program, and I've got a second one that is, what is it? It's like the watercolor mentorship program. So you can check those two out as well. Those are also half price. So check it out in the description. Just let me know if you want the link for that. If you're watching afterwards as well, I can answer your questions. Some student testimonials here as well. And I'm going to flip back to the scene and just show you a bit of a close-up now of what we've done today. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today, everyone. I had a great time. It was kind of more challenging than I thought, this reference, but uh, I think it looks decent and had some fun. So if you guys have any questions, let me know, and even just feedback for today. I'm thinking of next time as well. What sort of references we should use, what subject I should paint. If you've got suggestions for that, you're watching along afterwards, let me know. But otherwise, I'm probably going to end this session. And Sarita, good to see you. And just love it. Thank you. But I think that's pretty much it. Aggressive koala. I'll catch you next time. And thank you all. Thank you all again for joining.